A lot of people get a bit worried and a bit scared of cooking chow mein because if it goes wrong, it goes very, very wrong. And one of the most common questions I get asked is how to make these dishes without creating a burnt, sticky, horrible mess. Well, today is your lucky day. I've got 3 top tips on how to stir fry noodles perfectly. My name's Michael, you're watching Chow with Lau. Let's do this. So my first tip is to make sure that your noodles are as dry as possible. If you're using dried noodles, the ones that you have to pre-boil, do the pre-boiling and then drain them really well. And then what I would do personally is to put them in the fridge and leave them overnight so they dry out even more. And they're nice, they're still gonna hold their shape, they're still gonna be moist in the middle, but on the outside at least, they're gonna be quite dry to the touch. If you try to stir fry wet noodles, that's when you have a high chance of making a sticky, burnt mess. So if you're using fresh noodles, you don't have to pre-boil them, so that's going to make them less wet than ones that you've boiled yourself. However, as you can see, hopefully, they are still quite moist, and I want to dry them off as much as possible. So what I've got here is a large-ish bowl with some kitchen towel, which I'm going to pour the noodles into, okay, and then I'm going to just let that sit and give it a bit of a shake into it to relieve it of its moisture as much as possible. Okay, that'll just help it dry off and that'll make the cooking process a lot easier. So now we can move on to our second tip, and that is do not overload your wok or your pan. The secret to stir frying or wok cooking, and this applies even if you're using a normal pan, is to keep the temperature hot, because a high temperature cooks things quickly, yes, but it also reduces the chance of it sticking. If I remember my physics correctly from my school days, when you heat something up, the molecules in it vibrate. Okay, and the vibration increases as the temperature goes up, and it's this vibration that makes sure it shakes off anything that's touching it so it doesn't stick. If you get it kind of warm, then that's when things start to break down and you get stickiness. So one of the best ways of making sure that your wok or your pan retains the heat that you want is to not overload it with your ingredients in the first place. So tip number 2 takes us nicely into tip number 3, and that is to have your wok or your pan smoking hot. That hot. Okay, you can see it's dry at the moment, it's smoking. Now we can add our cold oil. Always cold oil into hot wok. That helps give us a really nice kind of natural non-stick. Okay, so it goes in there, about 2 tablespoons. And we swirl it around to make sure we've got a nice even coverage. Got to make sure that there's oil coated on all parts of the wok we're cooking on. Okay, no oil on it means it's going to stick and burn. So to demonstrate this technique, I'm going to show you a very, very simple beef chow mein recipe. So I've got about 4 ounces of beef here, and I've velveted it, and if you want to learn how to do that, then I've got another video for you to have a look at. I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, into the very hot wok, we pop that in, let it sizzle, let it sear, try not to move it, even it out so we've got it spread out over the wok, but apart from that, leave it. This is going to now caramelize and give us a nice crust, and it won't leave any sticky residue in the wok that will create more stickiness and stick the noodles to it. We don't want that at all. Okay, so after about 20-30 seconds, then we can start to stir fry it, make sure we are now searing all surfaces of the beef. Okay, there you go. And now we're ready for our noodles. We've still got our wok smoking hot. We're going to put in half of the quantity of the noodles that we dried. Again, not overloading the wok. That's the secret, not overloading, keeping that temperature high. Look at that. As you can see, as you can hear, this is still lowering the temperature of the wok a little bit. That's natural because we're on a domestic hob. But it's high enough not to stick. Can you see? None of it is sticking. Yeah? And we can stir fry that in and mix it up. And now we can add our third ingredient, bean sprouts. You can't have a chow mein without bean sprouts. So a nice little handful of bean sprouts here. You can see it's kind of sliding around the wok like there's a non-stick coating there. It's not sticking at all. And the beauty of this dish, it's so quick, so easy, so simple and relatively healthy. Look at that. Okay, once that's got going, we can add a few flavours. We can add a little bit more light soy sauce, just a little splash, a pinch of salt and pepper. Try not to add your salt too early, because that's another thing that can break down your noodles and get them to stick. We don't want that. Okay. Look at that, we're nearly ready. Look at that. How quick was that? Doesn't it look amazing? And nothing's sticking, nothing's burning. It's super. And my final thing is to add another little splash of sesame oil, just to give it that lovely sesame flavour. Fantastic. Stir that in. And guys, we're done. Look at that. No stickiness. Look at that. It's still a clean wok bottom. Huh? It's not that hard. This is done on domestic equipment, not a commercial stove or hob or anything like that. Brilliant. So easy when you know how. Look at that, guys. Literally a rinse out with some water and we're done. No need for detergent, no need for scrubbing. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Check it out, look at that. Easy, really, really easy, quick. You know, you can do this midweek, it doesn't have to be a weekend thing. And so little clearing up the wok. Just rinse with water and then your plates and perhaps your chopsticks. That's it really. And they taste as good as they look. Honestly, they're superb. They're so good. Now you know the secret on how to do perfect stir-fried noodles, and this applies to any stir-fried noodles that you want to use it on. Make sure your noodles are dry, don't overload your wok, and keep that temperature smoking hot. That's basically it, and trust me, you can do this in any pan. Mine's a carbon steel wok, you can do it in a non-stick wok. This technique works in pretty much any big pan that you've got. Another one of the misconceptions that you get when it comes to Chinese cooking is that you gotta have exactly the right equipment, and that's not true. I love using my wok, but I also use my non-stick wok quite a bit. If you want a comparison, I'll drop you another link in the description below on the differences between a non-stick wok and a traditional carbon steel wok, and which one might suit you the best. And you know what? The answer might surprise you a little bit. Go check it out. Really hope you've enjoyed and learned something from this video. Please leave me a like and subscribe if you haven't already, that'd be great. Share it. Sharing this video would be great for me. It really, really helps. Obviously, you can directly support me through Patreon. I'll leave a link in the description below, or you can do the super thanks button below the video. Anyway, the most important thing is that you have watched this video, and if you have enjoyed it, that is all I really want. So hopefully I'll see you in my next one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.